All right, this is another sit-down lesson for the third time of the M.O.T.B news updates as of July the 11th, 2026, and it's Saturday afternoon. So with that, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakab Kadash, and the Heavenly Father, true name is Yahweh, and His unbegotten Son, Ba'ashem. In the name of Hamashiach Kabashai, those are the true names of ancient Paleo Hebrew, the lost Rashi Holy Tongue, and I say Barak to the elders and apostles, Wahaki and Mahakwa, and I say Shalom. And this is a sit down lesson of the M.O.T.B news updates as of July the 11th, 2026, on this Saturday afternoon. And I think it was a news article, was that yesterday? You had this current administration, the president of the United States, he was saying that he's not going to sign that bill into law, so he's going to let it go through. I think he was saying something in protest because like some type of voter registration ID. So he wanted that be included in the bill. I think he want to add more to that bill or something like that because he was kind of unpleased with the bill, I believe. It said this is from CoinDesk. It says the U.S. government digital dollar is set to ban tonight, which was I think it was last night, so it probably went into effect as of today. It says under the housing law of the central district currency limit. It says the crypto industry's long amnesty towards the idea of the U.S. of a central district currency of the CBC will be rewarded with a ban. Yeah, a ban from 2031, I believe, because they were trying to do a full ban of it, but it was only able to have it pass of 2031 rather than a full ban. It says from crypto rank 12 hours ago, it says the U.S. central district currency ban becomes law without president's signature. A provision enabling the bipartisan road to the Housing Act automatically become law after President Donald Trump either signed or vetoed it. Right, so it automatically, yeah, it says the coin tribute, the US CBC banned for 4 years, right? That's 2031. Trump refused to sign the Constitution, forces it through. Right, so the Constitution, they forced it all the way through anyway. Yep, it says the Tech Times, a digital dollar ban until 2031, with stablecoin rulemaking 1 week away. The central bank ban without, US 2026, the 21st century road, the Housing Act becomes law Friday, which is yesterday, without president's signature and enabling. Right, so that gave us more of them focusing on the private stablecoin and the Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency. So that's still an indicator that entry more of everything is being currency. So digital, the digital dollar. So even though they make a full ban of the central digital currency from becoming a digital dollar in here in this United States, in this country, but they so basically the private stable coin is like an alternative to a digital currency or the digital dollar. But that lets you know that's an indicator we're seeing more and more pushing of everything's being digital nowadays, especially with this digital currency, even though it's a digital ban of the digital dollar for 2031. So this private stablecoin, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, this real ID, digital ID, because everything's being more digital nowadays. So check out some more news articles. Check out the AI overview as usual. Yep, it says the United States has officially enacted a statutory ban on Federal Reserve central bank digital currency. The CBC, it says the prohibited went into effect automatically at midnight on July 11, 2026. It says the 21 Central Road to the Housing Act legally blocked the Fed from issuing or creating a digital dollar through December 31st, 2030. It says while the U.S. has officially taken a step back from the state-issued digital money and global developments presented sharply dividing the landscape. It says the U.S. States of the 2030 ban takes effect. It says the automatic enactment of the Comprehensive Bipartisan Housing Act containing that the anti-central digital currency provision become law without President Trump's signature under the U.S. Constitution because the president did not formally sign or veto the legislation within a 10-day window in an act automatically scope on the ban. The legislation mandates that the Federal Reserve cannot directly or indirectly issue or create a central bank digital currency or issue any digital assets substantially similar to the CBC. It says the stablecoin pivot, the ban explaining exempts private stablecoins. The decision aligns with the administration state goals of learning in a private sector innovation in regulated framework of the Genius Act. The statutory ban landed exactly 1 week before the six federal agencies must finalize a critical rules determine who can issue a private digital dollar in America. It says the European advances towards a decision. It says digital euro progress in stark contrast to the U.S., Australia, and the European Central Bank. The ECB continues to down its roadmap. The European Central Bank is currently entering a final preparatory active evaluation phase and aiming at a formal issuance decision on a digital euro. The target timeline, the current European Central Bank timeline projects that the operational framework in a 12-month program could finalize ahead of a potential first issuance. Asia global markets. Oh, it says Slovakia. It says Asia and global markets, commercial trials and expansions. It says South Korea and the real world trials, the Bank of Korea. is moving its central digital currency plot into commercial bank systems, and 9 major commercial banks are introducing the digital wallets and smart voucher systems. It's like over there India did this past year. I mean, this year, couple months in the year 2026. This is in the public sector to test a real transaction, which they previously did, I think like 2 years ago, like a trial run test. Now they're doing it once again over in Korea. I think over there in South Korea, yeah, South Korea, the Bank of Korea. It says that 9 major commercial banks are introducing a digital wallet and some voucher systems into the public sector to test real transaction settlements and government subsidies distribution disbursements. It says China's NCY growth, the People Bank of China, the PBOC, continues to aggressively scale its digital yuan. The ECNY project has integrated 26 additional financial institutes once across platforms, and the circulative transaction volume expanded to 16 trillion yuan. The world moves Snapchat, according to the Atlantic Council Central Bank Currency Tracker. 134 countries representing 98% of the global GDP are now actively exploring a central bank currency. 3 countries, the Bahamas, Jamaica, Nigeria, which else previously spoken about already, remaining the only nations will fully launch and retail central bank currencies. It's the book of Revelations. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 13, verse 16. Then I'll close it out. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 13, verse 16. And it calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free or bond, to receive a charagma in their right hand or in their foreheads, right? To receive a charagma in their right hand and foreheads. Looks like they pushing this digital dollar, digital ID, Bitcoin, stablecoin, cryptocurrency, and the pushing towards this new this nanotechnology, this brain chip, and the full push of the mark of the beast. This is going to be fully implemented. This digital RFID chip that they want to implant in your right hand, your forehead. And that's going to be road to that path. And we're seeing increasing signs of that. Revelations 13, verse 17, it says that no man might buy or sell and say that he hath the mark of Zechariah or the name of the beast or know his name. Right, the beast, the system that rule by man or know his name. Revelations 13, verse 18, here is wisdom, let him have understanding, count the number of the EST, right, this beast system ruled by man. For it is a number of a man, and its number is SIX 300 squared SIX. So with that, this is just a quick set down lesson of the M.O.T.B news updates, because we know M.O.T.B is not in hand, especially what they pushing forth this digital RFID chip that they want to implant in your right hand, your forehead. That's why we're seeing more. Everything's being more digital, and everything's being more cashless. Because once this be 100% fully implemented over here in the Virgin Islands, Babylon, and different parts around the world, it's going to be a time where to doing transactions, to be part of society. Your medical information, your personal information, financial information, and that's going to be turn into digital, and that's going to be hard copyless. So, in order for you to buy or sell, to use your medical information, your personal information, financial information, you can have that because that's going to be all into one. This pushing of this digital RFID chip that they want you for you to buy or sell, to purchase items, to buying and selling, to be part of society. This is what they're pushing for. So with that, hopefully this sit down lesson was edifying of the M.O.T.B news updates as of July the 11th, 2026 on this Saturday afternoon. So with that, I would like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Wakakadash. And the Heavenly Father, true name is Yahweh, and His unbegotten Son, Bahashem. In the name of Hamashiach Yahushua, those are their true names in the ancient Paleo Hebrew, Barashua, that's the holy tongue, and I say Barakatham to the elders and apostles, Akim Akwaf. Till next time, I say Kum Yasharallah, and the Bible, Shalom.